Hey guys, it's Siobhan Muir. I am here. I am awake. I am more or less physically, prepared for this. And I hope that you guys are having a good morning. Um, it's been a the end of the week was kind of long because I ended up doing my authorversary, and therefore I was giving away a whole bunch of things, which, I did it on Facebook because it was very easy and it's kind of like a ready-made party. When you're on Facebook, everybody's already there, so you just got to get Facebook to get their attention, and suddenly they show up, and people get prizes and stuff like that. So yeah, it was one of those, do it over there because it was easy to get people to show up. But that also meant I had to spend time going back through the comments and interacting and responding and getting all that stuff done. And it was going through the comments to find the winners. And yeah, by the end of yesterday evening, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go turn my brain off. Hey Chandra, good morning. Hey Denria, very nice to see you. Welcome. Yeah, so I hit a big old wall. I hit a oh, Denise. I'm sorry. It I only get your screen name, so I don't know who you are and your real name. So I'll just I'll try to get it right. I apologize. Denise, nice to see you. Um, I was at the end of my rope. I hit a wall of exhaustion and was like, you know what? I really hope that everybody's doing good tonight and they don't need me around. So I'm going to crash. I'm going to let someone else tell me a story. So I actually watched a really good movie last night. It's called Concussion, and that stars Will Smith as the doctor that figured out that professional football, well, football in general, but professional football, hey Terry, welcome, was causing the repeated concussions, I should say, the repeated concussions of playing football, where you literally hit everybody head on, was causing the damage that sent a lot of these very young football players. They were only 45, and I mean young. They'd retired, but they were young in age to appear to go absolutely crazy, and then they ended up killing themselves in very violent ways just to shut the voices off in their heads. And it was a good movie. I'm glad I watched it. But it made you pause, thinking, well, then why are we? Oh, and of course the NFL did everything they could to slander him, to shut him down, to threaten him and his wife, because if you ever bring up an idea that is so um, opposite or might threaten an established institution, they come back swinging it with violence to try to shut you up because you can't ruin their institution. I'm not saying that I hate football. I don't hate football at all, but it was really interesting to see what people would do when they're gladiatorial games, because that's what they were. The NFL was literally saying it's okay if they die after they retire. They're retired. It's not important. They're no longer part of the game. While they're playing the game, we have to keep them healthy. But after that, if they go crazy, eh. And that was the way the NFL responded. Good morning, Bern. Welcome. That was how the NFL responded to it. And obviously things have changed because he didn't give up on saying, look, this needs to be addressed. And if nothing else, you need to tell the players what they're signing on for. I mean, Mr. SM were discussing it. We're like, well, Navy SEALs know when they sign up to be a SEAL, they're going to go in there, and better than likelihood, not only will they be shot and they'll break things, but there's a good likelihood they'll die. All right, they know that going in. Most football players do not join football knowing they're going to die from massive head injuries. Right? They'll break a leg, they'll break an arm, but they're not going to die. So it's almost kind of like, well, maybe the NFL needs to tell them the reason we pay you so much is because this is essentially hazard pay for being in a gladiatorial arena. I know that seems an extreme way of looking at it, but given the extent of these injuries, it might be good to give them at least a warning so they know. So it was an interesting story, and I totally recommend it. And Will Smith did a good job portraying the doctor that really fought for these athletes and fought for the belief that the players need to know what they're getting into. Their players' families need to know. Good morning, Mary. Welcome. So, it was a good movie, and I recommend it. It it also put into perspective, you know, Mr. SM also, he's more of a sports nut than I am, so he's been paying closer attention. He said that a lot of those athletes that came out of playing professional football don't want their sons to play. And it's not because they don't enjoy the game, and it's not because they don't love what they did, but it was because of the injuries. He also said that as the equipment has gotten better, that it has caused people to be a little more careless with their bodies. Well, I'm protected by the pads and the really good helmet, right? I shouldn't get concussions. Yeah, you are protected from actually dents in your skull, but it doesn't protect from concussions because your brain is sitting in the skull in a well, in liquid essentially, and it bangs around in the skull. It's not attached, so it bangs around in the skull if you hit it too hard. Yeah. So again, I'm not against football. Y'all have to make your own decisions about football, and it is a marvel to watch these guys. Some of these guys are incredible athletes, and they're amazing. They dance across the field, avoiding all the other guys that are trying to hit them. So it is an impressive sport, and the fact that they can do it day in and day out for since they were little kids all the way until they hit their 30s and 40s is pretty impressive. So head injuries are no fun. They are no fun, and they're finding more and more research that says that they're even more dangerous than we thought before. So it was a really cool movie to see where the process started for them to start understanding um, why all of their sports heroes were dying, and appeared to go absolutely crazy. And the last guy they showed, killing himself because he was going nuts. He had actually written out a note and said, "Study my brain, study it, find out if this is what I've got because we need to stop this problem." So when I was in fourth or fifth grade, Terry says, a fellow classmate and neighbor brother passed away from a head injury while playing high school football. Right. I mean, and we start them early, right? Little boys start playing. Some little girls too. Little boys start playing football. What, 4, 5, 6 years of age? And you know, my one of the Muirlets loves playing football, but she plays flag football. She doesn't play They don't do tackle football. And Mr. SM said last night that he thinks that the laws have been changed that little kids uh, are no longer allowed to play tackle football. You can't start playing tackle football until high school. But I don't know if that's true. I can't verify that. He said he thought he heard that. And again, he's more up on the sports than I am. Burns says, my husband started having seizures from 3 to 4 concussions when he was younger. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, the head injuries are one of the things the doctor pointed out in the story was here's a woodpecker. A woodpecker beats its head against, trees, and it hits it hard, and you would think, my goodness. And a bighorn sheep, they collide during the rut, during the season for mating. And what was the other thing he was talking about? There was another animal, and it was another bird. Oh, it was a diving bird that would turn itself into an arrow, and it would hit the water at g forces that we couldn't even imagine, and it had no head injuries. These animals, though, what he pointed out, the woodpecker has a really long tongue that attaches the back of the head, but it wraps around the brain case, holding that brain solid, almost like a webbing or a safety net, while the animal beats its head against the tree. It was built for that. It had come up with an evolutionary framework to be built for that. The human head is not built for beating against other human heads. It's just not. And I think I've had 2 concussions in my lifetime, and that it wasn't from football; it was from other things. And what he said is that these football players, they aren't built to beat each other. That's just your head's not built for that. And he understood after doing a bunch of math. He came up with that Iron Mike Webb Webster, who was the first man they noticed that died of this what they call CVE. Iron Mike Webster had essentially been concussed, or at least had head impacts of up to 17,000 times over his entire career, from when he was a little boy until he did his 18-year career of playing football. 17,000 times he'd been hit in the head. Yeah, so it was a really interesting story, and you know, of course, the doctor also pointed out, I was like, you're not going to know you have this until after you die. That's the problem. You can't see it. The brain looks normal until after you die, and then you find the remnants of it. So, my question was, okay, now that we know that what causes it, and people are going to choose whether or not they want to stop playing football, right? They're going to choose. So, when someone starts showing these symptoms, what do we do about it then? Is there any way to help them at that point? Because it's too late to say, well, don't get concussed. Okay, that's not a solution. So what do we do now? So injuries show on the MRI decades after it happens, so you have permanently damaged brain. Right, right. And what this doctor said is, I won't see it until they die. You know, I won't see it. The brain looked completely normal, but there was something wrong. And he had to do some deeper research, a lot more tests to figure out, because even the MRI at the time didn't show it. He looked like when they ran his, oh no, it was a CAT scan. I'm sorry, not an MRI at that time. So it was a CAT scan. So again, it was a question of, well, I think what the solution might be is, you need to let these guys know that this damage is going to be permanent and they're going to get hit a lot. I'm not sure they can change how they train them. I doubt it. So they have to let them know. And that's what the NFL didn't want to do, because why lose their best gladiators, right? Why tell them? Just let them beat it out when they retire, and we wash our hands of them. It was an interesting story. And it was also an interesting way of how the corporation doesn't want to deal with the repercussions of the damage that they sustain. Right. Byrne says advances in technology are great, but they don't do any good for people 40 or 50 years ago. And they're not, and honestly, it's still happening now. One of the things is that as the equipment got better, people started to worry less about how their heads were being affected. And that's, unfortunately, they're trusting the helmet to keep their heads from being concussed, but the helmet doesn't stop the brain rattling around. So that's not trusting that. The concussions have gotten worse as the equipment got better. It's kind of a anti-intuitive. You can also see the studies of rugby players. Rugby players don't get as many concussions because they don't wear any protective helmet on their head, so they don't use their heads as much. They use their bodies that are built to take a little bit more thumping. So it's kind of an interesting dilemma of, what do you do? And it was a good movie. I recommend it because it really brought into focus kind of, well, what choices do we make to help those that have either recently retired, will retire soon, or are just getting into the sport? I don't know. I don't know the answer. And I won't tell anybody, now you got to stop playing football. There's too much money in it. There are too many people who enjoy it. So that's not a solution at all. I would not choose to play it, but then I've never been a huge fan. My brother, on the other hand, he played it, but he didn't play it since he was a really little kid. He played it in high school, and then he had a back injury that had nothing to do with football and had to stop. So it was a good movie. I recommend that one because it was really interesting to see the thought process and the whys behind it. So, but that's not the plot bunny I was going to talk about. Plot bunnies are everywhere. And by the way, if you do see the movie and get a plot bunny, I totally understand why. Oh, Mary, you're holding at 3 concussions? Yeah, I think I've only had 2. And again, they were from other events. So, but the plot bunny that came to me this morning, I was reading a book by Marlis Melton called Danger Close. And I liked the story. I liked it. It was enjoyable. Obviously, I kept reading it to the very end. But there was a line in it we were in the black moment, and the seal had walked away from the woman he loved because of some personal differences between them. I don't want to give the story away, but he had said something really interesting um, in his kind of like mental thoughts. He was thinking about, he was hanging out at um, I guess he was in Virginia Beach at this point, and they were having a Christmas party, and he was thinking about how his life had changed since he had gotten back from the adventure that had happened somewhere else. And he was thinking, he had grown tired of the same kind of elegant but empty connections he had made at the bars. The women that came to the Seals bars were really just looking to hook up. They weren't in it for long term. It was, they just wanted a hard body to have sex with. The guys were like, I'm more than willing. And, he said, but it was kind of empty. And after he'd spent time with this woman that he had fallen in love with, of course, this is the black moment, he realized that he didn't want that. And I'm sitting there reading this, right? And I'm thinking, right, what do we show? What do we show that the Seals are after? They're after these very elegant, slender, young, um, taut-bodied women that that do their best. And I've seen them here in Wyoming too, when it come to the shows, the after shows, the concerts and things like that. I've seen them here too. They're elegant, they're taut-bodied, they're young. They wear either, well, here it's warm, so they're wearing shorty shorts and little tank tops, but the Seals, they might be wearing short dresses and high heels. The idea is they kind of look like they have a certain look to them, and it's just outward look. I'm not impugning any women whatsoever. I'm just saying they have a certain outward look. And I was thinking, I have never ever in all my life, even when I was young, I have never ever looked like that. I just don't. That's not what I look like. Um, and they're amazing. These women, looking at them and kind of like, wow, I'm so impressed. I don't look like that. I'm so impressed. Um, and I was thinking, but that's kind of what the Seal was thinking about, is that he had seen all of these women, and they all look kind of alike, but they're beautiful, no question about it. They're beautiful, and they come in blonde and brunette and redheads, and on all the variations in between. And he was saying, I just want something more. And I thought, and suddenly a plot bony shifted into my head of a woman who looks like me. Maybe she's a little older. She's educated. She's kind of done a bunch of things in her life, but she's out with friends at this bar that happens to be next to, like, Coronado or Little Rock, or all of these places that help the Seals train to be Seals. And um she's out there kind of, having a good time, but maybe she's a divorcee, or maybe she's um a single mom, or maybe she hasn't had kids. She's just an older woman with a body that isn't the taut women who are wearing skimpy shirts and skimpy dresses and high heels that are, that are often seen as the most beautiful of our population. And the Seals walk in, and they're all looking around, getting ready for their evening of hooking up. And one Seal walks in and looks straight at this woman. Like I said, she's a little older. She's maybe had some weight added to places. Maybe her breasts aren't as big, or they're, whatever. And not necessarily she's a big, beautiful woman where she's voluptuous everywhere. That's not just kind of average, you know. And he can't take her eyes off her. Plot bunny. Like, I'm like, where did this come from? It just shot it. My husband just looks at me and like, yeah, And it was cool because it was like, all right, could I write a story about a woman who looks like me? And the Navy SEAL has seen all these beautiful women. You know, he's seen them in every port. They come in all shapes and sizes, and they're all beautiful, but they're all kind of the same sort of body style and are taut and young, and they're looking just to hook up. But instead, he sees somebody else, somebody who isn't that style. And that's what makes her interesting to him. She has crow's feet. She has laugh lines. Um, if anyone can do it, I can. Oh, thank you, Bern. Would you guys read it? Would you read it that an ordinary woman who looks kind of like me, wears a bathrobe and and has laugh lines, sorry, and well, these are laugh lines too, and crow's feet, and maybe little silver strands in her hair. Oh, I have to tell you guys, you crave that story, Denise? Well then, maybe I'll write that. You want her? I think I'm gonna make her a little on the older side too. But you know how I dyed my hair. I dyed my hair a little bit red, and I'm giving this extra color, and it's pretty. I love it. I think it's so fun. But I was disappointed. Get this: women dye their hair all the time to hide their silver and hide their gray. And I was disappointed because all my silver went away. My wisdom sparkles went away. There is something messed up about me. You also crave her looking like you? Hmm. I I'm gonna think about that, Chandra. But the thing is, I want the character to be older, and I want her to be average, not average in intelligence or in abilities, but just average in looks. People that you kind of overlook us ordinary women. We kind of, we don't stand out. We're not the most brilliant star in the sky. We're not the slenderest, all of these things that heroines are made of. Not a problem. I wanted the heroine to be someone I could look in the mirror and see, right? I get tired of the perfect woman I can't associate with. Right. I quit dyeing my hair. I have dark brown and silver hair. It looks better than the dyed look on me. You know what? I agree, Bern. I kind of I miss my silver. I miss it. I didn't mind having silver, but I recognized that I liked it. It had become part of me. And so as much as I enjoyed this color, which I did, I had a good time having that. But yeah, in your world, you're average. I'll have to think about that, Chandra. I don't know if I could do it justice. I want you to understand that I don't know if I could do it justice, so we'll see. Um, and that would be the only reason, is that I don't know if I could do it justice. I quit dyeing my hair years ago. Not as white and silver with little blonde. Oh, that's pretty. Yeah, I want to go back to my ordinary color, so I'm gonna let this wash out as it goes. So, rock the look, whatever it is, you can do it, Justin. We'll see, we'll see. Okay, so here I am thinking, like, well, I have a bunch of seals. There's a few of them that don't have loves yet, but they're coming. And then I thought, well, who would I give this woman to? This woman who's smart and funny, and she's gotten stuff figured out because she's survived this long. I go all the time when I get bored. Gray turns to brighter. Nice, very nice. Well, so I thought, well, who would I pair up with this woman? Because she she's already lived quite a bit of life. She's not a pushover. She's not starting out. The whole world is sparkly. The world might be sparkly, but she's managed to avoid the bright lights. Who would this be? Well, I was thinking about it, and I have a character. His name is Lieutenant Commander Whittleton. He was an active combat SEAL, but he has since retired from active combat, and he is now the head of their squad, right? And Whittleton is older. I would put him about 10 years older than I am, so in his 50s, because he's been doing it a while. And he retired, but he became the leader of the squad, so he kind of watches over the other guys. But he's had the same sort of missions they've had. He's just older. And he's still in pretty good shape. I mean, he's older. We all get a little thick around the middle as we get older, but he's in pretty good shape. And I thought, you know what? He's never been married, at least as far as I know, this guy has never gotten married. Whittleton doesn't have a wife. He doesn't have, grown kids or any of that. He's he's never settled down or settled down. I hate that phrase. He's never found a woman that caught his attention more than being a SEAL or helping the SEALs or leading the SEALs. He's never found any. It wasn't that he hasn't had sex. He's not a 50-year-old virgin by any means, but he's never found somebody that really lit his fire until now. Until now. And so I'm thinking that Whittleton might walk in to this bar where the SEALs frequent and catch a look at this woman who isn't like the taut youngsters, because in his mind, they're youngsters, but isn't, is a beautiful woman as she is. Doesn't have to lose weight. She doesn't have to wear a corset. She doesn't have to wear spike heels and short skirts if she doesn't want to. Or maybe she does. Maybe, he catches her one time where she's all dressed up because she felt like she wanted to be hot stuff for herself. And he's like, his tongue rolls out of his mouth and he starts drooling. Whatever. I haven't decided how I'm going to do this, but when I thought of Whittleton, I thought, oh, Cupid might have just slammed his arrow into his butt. So, plot bunnies. They show up in the least. I mean, I was reading someone else's book and all I read was one line of him going, no other woman held a candle to the heroine. And I thought, what if a SEAL walked into a bar and took one look at this average woman and suddenly went, oh my God, she's amazing. She's interesting, fascinating. All of these things that make guys go, ooh, I want more of that. What would that be like? So, plot bunny, there you go. They come from everywhere. They come from anything. At one point, I was so tired of the double standard for women and men about the after sex. The men have the walk of fame, and the women have walk of shame, right? Because they come home, they sneak in after having sex with somebody, somewhere else. And I was so fed up with that I wrote a whole story about a woman who chose to lose her virginity specifically so she wouldn't be put to death. Right? We feed virgins to a dragon. So she went and got rid of her virginity with the first handsome guy she could find just so that she wouldn't be fed to the dragon. Turns out she picked the only dragon in town. But whatever. That story has to be re-edited. It was published a few years ago now, but it needs to be reworked before I put it out again. But the idea, the frustration was, why do I have to be ashamed of having sex after, and sneak in, and so it's the walk of shame, while the guy struts in going, got some horizontal mambo, why can't I do that? Oh yeah. Why can't I? So I made her choose. She chose to get rid of this virginity that everyone seems to put a lot of value on. Turns out it's really only valuable to men than it is to women. But she chose to get rid of it because it wasn't doing her any good and it would only put her to death. So she's like, you know what? I'm going to choose to do something different. And in the end, it was one of my first dauntless romance tales, to be honest, because she ended up saving the dragon. That's kind of how it worked. How my mind works too. So yeah, plot bunnies. They come everywhere, and they usually come from things that I'm thinking about, or I've seen, or I've read, or I've listened to. Oh, you can't get me started listening to Daughtry. If I listen to Daughtry, I get a whole new storyline. Where do you think Starlight Starbright came from? I saw a picture, which is on my wall over here, and I heard the song by Daughtry. I had a whole story. I was in the car, and I had a whole story. They come everywhere. So if you ever wonder how writers get their ideas, There's no rhyme or reason. They just show up when you least expect it. But it usually makes for darn good romance. So, hope you guys are having a good time. Listen to me jabber on about plot bunnies, storylines, movies I've seen. I watch a lot of movies. But, yeah, Mr. SM and I have been kind of, we've been watching, what is it, Person of Interest. We just finished season 3, I think. Um, I don't really like where they took it, but I like the characters a lot, so I'll have to watch the other 2 seasons. There are only 2 more seasons. See how it turns out. I was enjoying kind of the magic of it, but yeah. Anyway, I hope things are going good for you guys. I hope your weekend is going well. And is it warming up where you are? Right now it's sunny and windy, but we have snow on the ground. So yeah, not warm, but the roads are clear, so driving isn't going to be an issue. And I'm enjoying my cup of coffee. Or our microwave died. That was kind of fun. It'll be interesting to learn how to cook without one. Cold, windy, and sunny. Yeah, yeah, Terry. I bet it is up there because it's down here. Okay, what's coming? So, there's a book up for pre-order. It's called Magic Rising: A Paranormal and Fantasy Romance Limited Edition Collection. 25 degrees. That's probably about what it is. I haven't looked. And so that book's on pre-order and can come out. It comes out on March 22nd. If you were part of my giveaway celebration on Facebook in my group, and you won something, do get in touch with me because I'm only going to leave the prizes up there for 24 hours and then I'll choose a new winner simply because I don't have time to track all y'all down. You know, I've really enjoyed spending time with you, but I can't hunt people down to make sure they get their prizes. They have to contact me. And then I will, get your address and put it in there. The only people who haven't contacted me are actually winners of the calendar, which I think is interesting because a lot of people are excited about that calendar. But what else? I guess that's what's coming, and then I'll be working on that plot bunny probably after I work on Delhi and I work on Denarian and no idea who the winners are. I announced them in the group and I tagged them. So hopefully they will get notifications. We had rain last night and figure out how to keep the cast. Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah, Mary's got a cast on her hand, and it's like I remember doing that. Yes, Delhi. Yes. So yeah, the winners are in my Facebook group. The post is tagged and pinned up at the top to let everybody know who won. They just contact me and that sort of thing. There are a few people that haven't. So if they don't contact me, even though I tagged them and announced it and pinned the post, then I will choose new winners. So because, like I said, I don't have time to track you down. I don't. Not if you want more stories to read. And that's my job. I got to write more stories. So now that my authorversary is over and the muralets' birthdays are over, I have more time to just sit and write, and it's good. I've been missing it, so we'll be working on that. So I hope you guys are having a great weekend, and yeah, I hope you have a good week. You wanted a rock, Chandra? You let me know what kind of rock it is that you'd like, and I'll get with you on that. Maybe I'll send you a rock. I got a lot of rocks. I got a lot of rocks, Chandra. I promise. So anyway, I hope you guys are having a good weekend. I hope you have a good week. And I will see you next weekend live for the Saturday Evening Soliloquy on SMTV, sponsored by YouTube. And then I can also, see you on Sunday morning tea, somewhere between 10 and 11 a.m. Mountain Time. So have a good week. Happy reading. happy writing, and I guess I will talk to you later about the next movie I watch, right? Or the next plot bunny I get. So have a good one, and I will talk to you soon.